we came up with this walled garden idea or the moat and castle idea, and that's the way security sort of existed for some time. During the 90s and into the early 2000s, when I was in graduate school, it was still like that. The first security book I had was a picture of a castle with a moat around it. And I think that's what every security book looked like in the 90s. In the early 2000s, some CISOs from around the world, called the Jericho Forum, I think it was, got together and said, hey, you know what, this really isn't working out so well. If someone gets inside the wall, they have everything. We should think about a perimeterless notion of security, or the early concepts of zero trust. You flash forward a few years, and a fellow named Kindervag, I think I have that right, from Forrester, coined the term zero trust. But it wasn't for a few more years, probably 4 years later, 5 years later, when Google first came out with their BeyondCorp model, which was really kind of that first implementation of the zero trust model, and at least that anyone saw outside of maybe some interesting organizations that might have adopted those concepts earlier. Take that and you flash forward a little bit sooner, and you start to have the idea of NIST publishing the document around zero trust. We have a presidential directive directing all of our federal organizations to adopt zero trust. Based on my experience with the federal government, in a few $1 billion in about 10 years, they'll all have adopted that. But it's starting to become more and more of a recognized approach to deal with the changing world we live in. And that changing world is one where most folks out there now are at least working remote part of the time, if not all of the time. Every organization you deal with is dealing with or using services in the cloud that are outside of their perimeter defenses. We have a lot of attacks that are ID-based attacks that circumvent the typical identity management and access control that we have. So that's kind of where we are in the world today. And so this is a really a new way of looking at how we should think about security.